Hello, YouTube. I like to read and share posted articles and information from a bright Russian scientist, a graduate of the top military space academy, now a leading engineer and programmer who was involved with the ISS and the Mir station projects. He was also in the GLONASS program and other special programs of his country. Most likely, he also worked for the little-known Russian Space Intelligence Agency. Sergey is very bright. I think there is a reason he publishes information on the internet about outer space exploration mysteries, celestial enigmas, moon, the Antarctica, and ancient aliens, for instance. Maybe it is a signal to his counterparts pointing out certain things, meaning this: we know this much or more, but this is all we will admit. Or maybe Sergey is just having fun. See, Sergey has immense knowledge and a very cool sense of humor, and you can find more of my videos about his research. Well, here are his observations about ancient aliens. I will share them with you, but then I'll add my comments about some of his statements. Modern people often mistakenly believe that aliens and everything connected with them is an invention of the last decades, and that people used to believe only in goblins and devils, and they never thought that there might be other worlds inhabited by intelligent beings somewhere. However, this is not the case at all. It's just that the true antiquity of this idea is very rarely evaluated and discussed, and today we will recall some facts about how ancient people imagined aliens and the worlds they live in. The Sumerian civilization is an excellent example in this regard. It flourished on this planet more than 5,000 years ago. According to surviving Sumerian legends, codes of laws, science, art, architecture, and the basics of proper social behavior were given to people by alien teachers. They were intelligent amphibious animals with fish heads, human torso, and human legs. Please note, these beings were never described by the Sumerians as gods, and there is no doubt that the ancient people considered their teachers as mortal as themselves. But the ancient gods of later cultures were often considered superior beings who lived somewhere in the heaven. The Babylonians, for example, who were actually the successors of the Sumerian civilization, believed that the moving luminous dots in the sky were other worlds that were the homes of their gods. Other people, such as the Eskimo, assumed that the moon and other celestial bodies were themselves gods. The ancient Chinese were of the opinion that our world is flat, and professed a non-theistic Confucian philosophy. They did not particularly like to talk about life in heaven and did not need such ideas, although dragons and other monsters often figured in their mythology. At the same time, the sacred books of Buddhism still recognize that there are obviously many worlds, and the fact that they are inhabited by unearthly plant and animal forms of life. Representatives of the ancient Veda culture, which flourished in Ceylon before the Hindu invasion in the 6th century BC, believed that after death, souls migrate to the sun, moon, and stars. After that, they reach the nirvana, the highest state of perfection. Hindu beliefs also are closely related to the idea of plurality of worlds. Indian philosophy actually explicitly assumes the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence. In one myth told about the god Indra, you can find the following words. I was only talking about the worlds inside this universe, but consider the myriad universes that coexist side by side, each with its own Indra and Brahma, each with its own evolving and dissolving worlds. Can you assume that you know them, can count them, or comprehend the limits of all these universes with the help of their many worlds, each with its own legions of inhabitants? The Old Testament is also full of descriptions of strange events, which according to some researchers may be associated with extraterrestrial visits. For example, the vision of the prophet Ezekiel. You can also find interesting words in the New Testament. There are many mansions in my Father's house, and so on. But by far the most interesting ancient cultures regarding the promotion of the idea of the existence of aliens were the Greeks and Roman cultures. For the Homeric Greeks, the moon was generally an inhabited world, separate from the earth. It was the residence of some gods and spirits of deceased people. Traditional Greek mythology believed that the universe created the gods, and that they in fact were not gods in the classical sense of the word. And this point of view corresponded more to the concept of mortals prone to alien errors than to the idea of an ordinary creator deity in other religions. Greek culture inherited considerable astronomical knowledge from the Egyptians and Babylonians, on which many assumptions could be based. For example, Thales of Miletus, he lived in 6th century BC, was a philosopher who was the first to guess that celestial bodies can be material, just like our Earth. Around the same time, Pythagoras, known for all his contribution to geometry, and other scientists began to think of the Earth as a sphere flying in outer space, abruptly moving away from the ideas of earlier thinkers about the Earth as a flat world. Well, the Greeks, says Sergey, understood everything. So the ancient Greeks realized that there may be other Earth-like worlds. Xenophon of Colophon, a contemporary of Pythagoras, suggested that people live on the moon, and there are cities and mountains there. Another Greek philosopher named Anaximenes apparently believed also in the existence of celestial inhabitants, because he had the audacity to tell Alexander the Great that he had conquered only one of many worlds. In the 5th century BC, Democritus taught the concepts of infinite space and multiple worlds. One of his students, Metrodorus of Chios, later wrote that to consider the earth as the only inhabited world in infinite space is as absurd as to claim that only one grain will grow in the entire field sown with millet. The ancient Greek philosopher Anaxagoras also supported the idea of a plurality of inhabited worlds. The sun, the moon, and all the stars are stones and fire. The sun is a red-hot mass or a stone on fire. The moon has an earthly nature, a red-hot body with plains, mountains, and ravines in it, the scientist claimed. Another mathematician of the 5th century of the Pythagorean school expressed his views on extraterrestrials in the most frank way. The moon has an earthly appearance because, like our Earth, it is inhabited by animals and plants. Only they are bigger and more beautiful than ours. For the animals on the moon are 15 times stronger than on Earth, and the day on the moon is correspondingly longer. And in the work Travels of the Young Anacharsis in Greece, written somewhere in the 4th century BC, you can find the following words. Since nature is even richer in diversity than in the number of species, I have settled peoples on different planets peoples who have 1, 2, 3, or 4 senses in addition. Then I compare their geniuses with those produced by Greece, and I must confess that Homer and Pythagoras inspire me with pity. Around the same time, Anthony Diogenes wrote his first lunar novel. In his work, Around Wonderful Things Outside of Tula included a visit to the moon. Unfortunately, the original text of the work has not been preserved. The Roman poet and philosopher Lucretius firmly believed in many inhabited worlds. As he wrote in his work De Rerum Natura, you have to admit that there are other worlds in other regions of the sky, and different tribes of people, types of wild animals. Nothing in nature is born alone. Nothing is born unique and grows unique alone. Everything is always a pattern of race or class, and to each belongs a multitude of patterns. The sky, the earth, the sun, and everything that arises are not unique, but rather are countless examples of class. Unfortunately, the earth-oriented geocentric cosmologies, supported by Plato and Aristotle, prevailed at the time. Both philosophers were categorically against the concept of a plurality of worlds. Aristotle argued that all matter is contained only in this world, and it is not in any other. As an additional proof of this, the immutability of heaven was cited. Later, these teachings were taken up by the Christian Church and put into effect as a law. Then it was denied that there could be any knowledge that Aristotle did not know. Very interesting analysis of ancient writings. You can see more of my videos about ancient aliens in my channel. I do want to add that some ancient Chinese very well knew that the earth is a sphere and had presented a priceless gift to Ivan Yefremov, the wise Russian scientist and writer that the KGB suspected of being an extraterrestrial. The gift was an ancient globe, around 5,000 years old, and depicted the earth and its contents. Most likely it was confiscated by Soviet secret police when they searched the deceased writer's apartment in 1972. So yes, the extraterrestrials are mortals too. But there's more about ancient China and the Yellow Emperor, and I've done a lot of research on the subject, and you can find it in my videos. And I urge you to look at them, because I always try to promote the idea that China has incredible knowledge and is one of the leading nations today in space exploration and other areas. And I'm sure the bridge goes back to the ancient times because they remember their history too. Look, I'll bring you more information shared by Sergey. You can agree with him or not, but his views are really important. He's an educated engineer, programmer, and more. And his work is well researched. So if you like my research, please kindly support it through the links you'll find in the description to this channel. Please tell others about my work, and I appreciate your attention to my work. Thank you.